today's episode of The Profitable Farmer. And it's kind of funny that when I'm doing my presentations, talking to farmers, talking to agronomists, talking to scientists, I inevitably get the same question over and over again. But I kind of think it's funny when I get three people in the same day ask me the exact same question. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, the question that I got today that I've been asked many times is, if is it okay if we drink the water? For example, if I'm watering my plants with this and I drink the water, what's is there anything going to happen to me? And it's a very good question, actually. I don't want to make fun of it too much because it is actually a good question. And the short answer to that question is no. If you drink Kyminasi plant water, or water treated with Kyminasi plants, nothing's going to happen to you. You're not going to grow. I had this vision where I should create a video where I have chia hair, the alfalfa sprouts growing out of my hair, and I might do that as a joke. But the real answer is no. Our system will not make you grow, green chest hair, plant chest hair, or anything like that. So you're totally fine. The reason why, and I'm going to get into that in a second here, but the reason why is that plant physiology, or plant biology, is different than human biology, quite honestly, right? So, I mean, that's pretty obvious, but the signaling system that would benefit plants and help to organize and orient plant biology, different than the types of signals um, that would handle human biology. So, I'm going to walk you through just a little bit more about how our technology works, about the mechanisms of the physics of how it works. I'm not going to get into, the PhD level physics. I'm sure there's some PhD guys out there. I always get people every now and again saying, "I watched all your videos and I have this question about how does the physics work of how these signals get into the water and that kind of stuff." And I walk through the more intricate details. I'm not going to get into that here for this broadcast, but I do want to walk you through a little bit more about how our technology works so that we can hopefully get a better understanding of how we are taking the laws of physics and the laws of harmonics specifically to influence and improve plant biology, because we're really taking two branches of science and connecting them and helping them, using one to help the other. Now, that shouldn't sound that strange to you because we've been using chemicals and chemistry, chemical pesticides, chemical fertilizers, chemical soil amendments for, I don't know, 70, maybe even 100 years now. So it's not like using chemistry and biology is that complicated, that strange. So it really shouldn't be that strange that we're using physics, a different branch of science than biology. So having said that, I want to walk you through a little bit about how our system works. Again, this is biophysics applied to agriculture. Now, first of all, the word biophysics describes a subset of science where we're using the laws of physics to either measure or, in our case, stimulate and influence biological function in living things. So all biological systems in all living things are tuned to very specific frequency patterns. Now, when we say frequency, we really just mean how many times in a given time frame something happens. Now, just to give you a real simple example here, and we have a picture of a wide variety of different types of organisms, humans, birds, fish, insects, even fungi like mushrooms and plants, elephants, etc. All living things have biological systems, right? They're the different moving mechanisms that allow that living organism to use energy and convert one type of energy to another, etc. So let's just take a simple example. I want to use human beings because most of us are familiar with heartbeats. Whether you know a lot about plant physiology and plant biological systems and how plants work or not, most people understand basic human physiology. So imagine your heartbeat, right? Your heart. If I take my pulse, you can put your hand on your neck here, and you can figure out how many times your heart's beating, right? I'm going to stop talking for a second. About 60 to 70 beats per minute, right? About once every second, you'll feel your heartbeat, that pulse run. And that heartbeat, that regular beating of your heart, pumps blood around your body, right? It takes in blood that needs to be oxygenated, and it oxygenates them through the blood in the lungs, and then it pumps it back out to your body again, right? That's why you have veins, you have arteries, etc. But that heart beats consistently at 60 to 70 beats per minute, right? And because that heart beats at a regular cadence, hopefully, I mean, unless you have heart murmurs or some kind of biological problem, it's going to keep beating at that same frequency, right? And so, what happens now if the heart slows down too much? If it starts to beat once every half a second? Now, what's that going to do to your heart? Obviously, it slows your heart down. But what does that do to the rest of your organs in your body? Well, now your liver, your kidneys, your spleen, your stomach, your muscles, your brain, now they're not getting oxygen at the same rate that they normally would get it, right? So, in a short term, maybe it doesn't affect you that much. But if that heart stays at a slow beat long enough, now all of a sudden your brain's going to start having problems, right? You're going to actually start having, memory loss. Maybe you're going to feel tired. Maybe you're going to want to take a nap. Maybe whatever, because your brain's going to want to shut down and use less energy because the heart is not getting the oxygen it needs to function properly. Same thing with your liver or your muscles or all these other things, right? And if it keeps doing that long enough, you're going to start having serious problems, maybe not with the heart, but with other organs in your body. Because that slower beating will actually cause, let's say, your liver to not function correctly. And over time, that's going to start damaging the liver and it's going to start creating problems where the liver doesn't do its function in your body, right? Now, all of these different examples are human beings, right? These are all biological systems that are all tied together and they're tuned to a certain timing mechanism. And that timing mechanism is regulated by the human heart, right? In a plant, we have different biology. That's why when people ask me if I drink the water that's Kyminasi plants, if I drink, this is not Kyminasi plant water, but if this was Kyminasi plants water, if I drink this, am I going to start, growing a green beard or something? Is it going to affect me? Is it going to hurt me in some way? And the answer is no, because the water with Kyminasi, in fact, just in case you guys are wondering, no harm, no foul. But the water that's treated for Kyminasi plants is treated with frequency patterns, right? And I'll get to exactly how this works with plants. But in a nutshell, a plant's physiology has different biological systems than a human. For example, the absorption of water and nutrients from the roots happen at a certain frequency. And those cells in the root system, all those cells that make up the plant's roots, have to be timed a certain way, right? Because if the water molecule is coming into the root, let's say down here, then there has to be a mechanism for that droplet of water to flow from one cell to the next, 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 and all the way up into the organism. And there's a function called a capillary system where the water molecule is moving from one cell to the next. And that biological process is governed by a certain frequency. In other words, those cells within the roots have to be timed just right in order for the water molecule to come off of one cell to the next, and then to the next, and to the next, right? Now, this is not something we typically think about when we're farming or looking to get a crop yield, right? And normally we wouldn't go into this level of detail when we talk about a crop booster. Usually we just talk about, hey, you can get 20%, 30%, 50% increases in yield. You can cut your fertilizer use by 20 to 50%. You can cut your water use by 20 or 50%. We kind of focus on the macro or the end result, the benefits to the farmer. But sometimes we get people that are just interested in the inner workings of this. And it turns out that the cells within a plant have to be timed together to work in a certain way to operate efficiently. And again, just like that human heartbeat is an organ, imagine in the heart itself, you have millions and millions of cells within the heart that have to all be timed at the same time. They all have to beat at the same time. They all have to engage in their little vibrations at the same time and the same frequency. And if that rate changes from one type of cell to another, then all of a sudden the heart itself cannot function as an organ. It just functions in chaos. And then blood doesn't pump to where it needs to go. And very quickly, If you survive at all, you're going to be in the hospital where they might stop your heart to try to get it beating at the same frequency as it should. In a plant, what happens is if a plant is healthy and undergoing photosynthesis, then all of those different mini processes that make up photosynthesis, for example, water absorption in the roots, nutrient absorption through the roots, the transport of those nutrients up through the stem of the plant and into the leaves, the absorption and use of sunlight in order for it to break down water and carbon dioxide and create a glucose or sugar molecule. The use of that sugar molecule in terms of creating new cells and new part of the life, the creation of flowers, the creation of fruits and vegetables, all those different little mini processes that go into plant production are all governed by a series of over 3,000 unique patterns or unique frequencies. And Mr. Baumelli, who had developed this technology, discovered what all those frequency patterns were and exactly how they need to be used and their timing mechanisms, because it's not enough just to have the right frequencies and just randomly give them to the plant. You have to give them in a sequence that the plant can accept. So at first you have to retune the cells in the root system so that they're all vibrating at the same time and same frequency. And that allows water to travel through the roots much, much more efficiently. You have to be able to tune the vascular cells in the plant, the stem cells, to allow those nutrients to flow freely up through the plant. You have to tune the chloroplast, those little green cells in the plants that collect sunlight, and you have to tune it to the right frequency so that as sunlight comes down, it can accept that sunlight and use it to achieve the maximum benefit for the plant. Now, the reason why I'm telling you all this is because it's a very simple and relatively innocent question when people ask, "Hey, if I drink this water, is it going to harm me? Or if my cows or my animals drink this water, is it going to have a negative effect on them?" And the answer is no, because the biological systems of a cow are different than the biological systems of a plant. So the real key concept of our technology is harmonics, right? In order for our technology to have any kind of influence over a plant, positive or negative, then the frequencies of our system have to match the frequencies within the cells of the plant. If they're too far different from each other, then our frequencies within the water are not going to have any effect on the cells in the plant. And to give you another analogy, which might explain why that is, imagine if you had a tuning fork, right? A tuning fork is something you use in a musical instrument, but it is made of a substance that's designed to beat at a certain frequency. In other words, the materials within that tuning fork are designed to be at operating and vibrating in a certain number of cycles per second. And that number of cycles per second matches the number of cycles per second in a musical note. So let's say a C note or an A note, right? And when you hit a tuning fork that's designed to vibrate at, let's say, 300 hertz or a C note, and you hold it next to something that's designed to operate at 400 hertz, which might be an A note, it's not going to cause any interaction between this other tuning fork because the frequencies that each substance is set at is different. However, if I took the two tuning forks with the same type of frequency, a C note and a C note, all I have to do is hit this one. And as this one starts vibrating because it matches the natural frequency of this other one, this one's going to start vibrating as well. And they're going to go into alignment with each other. It's kind of a very cool concept when you think about it. And yes, we've talked about those old, music for your plants type of thing. And there was a certain workability to it in the sense that the vibrations, when set at the right frequencies, can influence plant behavior. But it's taken 30 years of research to really unlock the exact frequencies that we need, the exact timing that we need to give this to the plant, and a mechanism, quite frankly, that we can use that's practical for a farmer. It doesn't do any good to have a giant speaker in the middle of a 50-acre field that blasts out certain tones at certain frequencies, right? It's just not going to work. It's not practical. It's going to be a lot costlier than it needs to be, and it's not going to have the effect that you want. But we were able to really manipulate the ideal properties of water, which is a very unique concept. It's a very unique mineral and element, And water has a very unique capability of carrying information. So we were able to really tap into that and utilize that to make this technology super affordable and super practical for the farmers. So without having to go too much further into detail, I know I kind of maybe got into too much technicalities, and hopefully that didn't affect you too much. But I want to just let you know that even for all this complexity of this explanation, the simplicity of it is you plug our device into your irrigation system. Our irrigation system energizes the water, and the water makes the plants sing, for lack of a better word. It really gets the plants to be much, much more efficient in how they utilize water and nutrients and grow and healthy and, of course, produce lots of fruits and vegetables. So if that sounds good to you, whether you want to know the technical details or you just want something that works, give us a call at 727-324-6750. You can email us at service@harvestharmonics.com, or you can also go to our website at harvestharmonics.com and check out our case studies and more details about the science and how this works. I hope to hear from you guys very soon. I want to help every farmer. This year's been a pretty rough year for all of us, especially for farmers, and it's time that we all work together to help each other out. We want to help you to become part of the future of farming today. We want to help you become more profitable, and we want to show you how this amazing new technology, as complex as it is to create and deliver, is very easy to use. It's very much a no-brainer. It's simple to use, and all you have to do is irrigate your crops and watch the magic happen. Hope to hear from you soon. We'll talk. And just to let you know once again that we have a very special Farmers Day special going on in October, 15% off any purchase made here in October. The payment must be received by the end of the month. So if you haven't already talked to us about that, let's get together. Let's work out how we can get this on your farm, and let's help you become part of the future of farming today.